Okay, folks, I'm sorry I'm a minute late. I had a little bit of trouble with my computer, which is very unusual, and I apologize for that. My name is Lee Goldstein. I am from the newstraders.com. TNT, we're the makers of JOBB software. That is our proudest accomplishment. We've done some really what I think are some incredibly exciting things with our software this year. Um, I'm an off the cuff kind of guy. I have a PowerPoint, but I'd rather really just talk to you about the upgrades we've made to our software. So I'm going to zip through our PowerPoint. I'm going to take a half an hour of your time. That's it. And I'm going to give you a couple of great reasons why I think you should join our service, take advantage of what we now offer. We are in the middle of completely changing the way we do business in some ways. And it's very exciting. And I don't even think my boss knows what I've done to the software. So I might either lose my job within a week or two, or they're going to be very excited over the changes we've made. So the thing that I am talking about is called the awesome new one click range trade. We know it as the one click range trade. I'll explain it in a second. But first, I want to just go through the disclosures that by law we have to let you know that we trade futures. You want to be very careful. You can lose money trading futures. You can lose more money than you have in your account trading futures. So be smart about it. Don't overtrade your account. Don't be reckless. Don't be careless. Study the markets. Do all the right things so that when the day is done and the week is done, you're happy and everybody around you thinks you know what you're doing. And it's a great feeling to be successful rather to be in trouble because you've done some foolish things. All right. So I know you can hear me. I'm assuming you can hear me fine because I see my mic is flying. So just a couple of quick things. I'm going to go through the people that make up our company. Eric Spiker, E-Money, we call him. He's partner number one. This is our big change that we're making for this year. You now can, besides the incredible fun and excitement of trading the news, you now can design your own trade. And while we have not officially released this feature in our trade room, it's officially released as a feature and members are already making money. Member Patrick here is making hundreds of dollars a day trading the one click range trade because he came up with a setup and he learned how to do it. And that's what we stress at our company. We don't really want you to come in our room and follow us. We're not financial advisors. We're not the greatest human trader that ever lived. We're normal people that have some great ideas, and we want to teach you how to find the reports that make sense to trade the news. The good reports, will tell you which ones they are. We'll help you to trade them. But ultimately, our goal is to teach you how to do it. We don't want you to be a victim. We don't want you to be dependent upon us. We want you to empower yourself, make your own decisions. Do it yourself is the most important thing that I can stress. And most of our members, 99% of them, know this. They trade their own setups. Of course, they listen to some of our recommendations, but ultimately, last night I had a trade where I lost a couple of bucks. One of my members made a couple of bucks, the same exact trade because he knew what to do. He traded it a little bit smaller than I traded it. And I was so impressed. I mean, he's my hero for the week because he took my lesson to heart. And my lesson, the most important thing I can teach you is think for yourself, trade on your own, don't need me. Okay. So that's critical. But this design your own trade, trading any style of trade, you could scalp, you could discretionary trade, you could trend trade, you could trade the news. I'm going to get into that as soon as I get through this PowerPoint. Okay. Our owner, second owner, along with Eric Spiker, E-Money, is Jay Offner. He's actually the founder of the program. He works and he lives in Hawaii. He works in Hawaii for the Department of Defense. He's a U.S. Navy in the U.S. Navy Reserves right now. Two very nice people that I work with. I'm the director, and this is me with my kids, with my crazy setup. I'm a musician also. It's interesting. You find a lot of musicians in the trading business. I don't know why, but I run into musicians all the time. It's one of those crazy things. Couple of heads up, just what is news trading? Very simply, news trading is when, for instance, today, the oil report got released at exactly 10:30, and at exactly 10:30, the price of oil jumped one way or another. It either goes up or goes down almost all the time, enough of a move that it can be traded for a profit or a loss. That's what news trading is, taking advantage of the release of data by agencies, governments, companies, whoever, knowing when those releases are coming out, which is what we specialize in, and then trading them with our software, which does it in a semi automated fashion. In other words, if we have a trade, for instance, we have a trade like the non-farm payroll trade. Okay. Here's an example of what that trade might look like. Let me get rid of the sound real quick. And this is what this trade might look like using automated software. Our software is actually semi-automated. Okay. The trade takes place literally in 10 seconds from now. It's an 8:30 trade. It's the payroll report that's coming up this Friday. It's over here on this side. And what you're going to do is you're going to see, I was trading the DAX that day live in our account. You could see that our orders got placed on the chart before the trade was released. Okay. It took a second for the news to hit. Our orders were there, and then the news got released, and our orders were actually hit. One of them got hit immediately, and we got out of the trade for a profit of $137 in about 8 seconds. Okay. That's a very nice news trade, a trade that's automated and you get out very quickly. Not every trade is fast. Not every trade is $1 million trade. Tonight's trade, I just left the trade room and I made the grand total of $30 tonight. Okay. But I made that $30 in 15 seconds. So if you calculate $30 over 15 seconds, that's $120 an hour. It's really not as bad as it sounds. So, but the point is, not every trade is hundreds of dollars. Not every trade is a winner. But we teach you how to trade the news. We want you to find those winners. We want you to find trades like this. All right. Let's take a look at a very nice little bond trade that we took a couple of months ago. This bond trade made $237.50. And that was literally, and that was in probably 10 seconds. I can show you, I don't know, a hundred different versions of that trade where members send us their graphics. Here's one of my best traders, $1,718 on core CPI in December. One of the best traders we have in our room. He's a fabulous trader. Here was one of my trades on the ADP report. We actually had that report today also, and I made $130 on it today. We trade the ADP report with gold. So the point is, we teach you where to find those trades. Where do you find them? You go to different websites. You go to websites like forexfactory.com, for instance, or you go to investing.com. And what you do is you go to those websites, they list all the news. For instance, Monday, Australia had retail sales. That's a tradable news item, okay? Especially because it's a red file folder, so to speak. And then you also had Tuesday, Australian GDP was a tradable trade. Again, red signifies high impact news. Canadian trade balance, not as big a trade as you'd think, but ADP non-farm is a trade we trade every month. It's an excellent trade. It's what we call a prime trade. It's a prime trade because it's been profitable more than 80% of the time. That's a prime trade. We help you locate and find these trades, and that's the whole idea of joining our service. Tomorrow, we are going to trade natural gas, even though it doesn't have a red marker. Usually, we don't trade natural gas live because it's a very hard report to make money on. And again, we teach you that. Why waste your time and money trading a report that's hard to make money on? And we'll also trade a report that doesn't even show up here because it's a USDA, it's a Department of Agriculture report. And again, learning how to find these trades, besides just learning how to trade them, is what we do. That's called the WASDE report, and we'll be trading that tomorrow. And that very possibly could be a live trade. We always tell people in the room if we're trading live or if we're trading sim, we don't hide what we're doing. We don't lie about anything. We are incredibly transparent. That is the nature of the way we run our business, and it will always be that way because that's the way that we like to do business. We want you to know the truth. I want to show you one of our favorite trades, if I can turn the sound off. U.S. retail news is one of the best trades that we trade. It's a prime trade. It's going to take place at 8:30. Look at that move. I was out of that trade with a profit of $600 in less than a second. It wasn't even enough time for the trade to register on my clock. That's how fast it was. And that's how good that trade is. That's not something that happens once a month only. It happens month after month. This is a prime trade. It's been positive 8 to 10 times over the past year every month. That's what a prime trade is. That's U.S. retail news. It's a phenomenal trade. We locate those trades for you and for us because we want to make money too, because we're trading for real. We're not faking it in the room. We're not just calling out trades. We're not just not showing our charts. We do the real thing. And we're honest about when we don't do it. And there are times when you don't want to trade a trade. If a report, if a news report tests poorly, if it tests, that it hasn't been performing well for the past 4 or 5 months, then pass on it. Why do you need to trade that report? There's a million news reports to trade. There's not a million, but there's, more than 30 a month you can trade that you could pick from. You could find 7 perfect reports to trade every month, 7 prime, plus good ones. So you don't have to trade the bad ones. Trade the good ones. We use NinjaTrader. We support NinjaTrader 7 and 8. We trade futures, not Forex, because the brokers don't fool around as much in futures as they do in Forex. If you trade Forex, I don't have to tell you what the brokers do before the trades. They make it harder to trade the news by moving the price, all right? And the day before a news trade is released, we send you this report called the HIRA, HIRA, High Impact Report Alert. And it has this type of information on it. Of course, the name of the trade, the name of the report, sorry about that, the name of the report, and I can never go backwards in my slideshow. So let me go back because it's me, folks, so bear with me. Let me fix it. And I'll just start over if you can deal with it and zip through it real quick. Give me a second because it's important data. I want to show it to you. Here we go. Sorry about that. So let's go back to that screen where we had that report that we trade. Here it is. So this is the report that we send you the day before every trade. Tells you what we're trading. We're trading gold, the month, the risk. Usually a risk 2 is medium, risk 3 is higher, risk 4 is risky. Okay. We have also traded, and then there's text that just talks a little bit about the trade, gives some advice about the trade. We want you to be able to do this by yourself uh, without us. And if I hear the word slippage, James, one more time, I swear I'll jump off the roof. Yes, there's slippage, but the idea is really simple. You want to trade trades where you don't care if there's slippage. You want enough profit that it overcomes the slippage. There's slippage when you trade discretionary. There's slippage in the market. Slippage is like air. You can't get rid of it, but there are things you can do to reduce it. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there is no slippage, James. There is slippage, and it doesn't matter. There are reports that you don't trade if there's too much slippage, and history will tell you that. But there's reports, many reports, where there's a moderate amount of slippage or a medium amount of slippage, but there's a maximum amount of profit, and it overcomes the slippage. Non-farm payrolls, U.S. retail. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Those trades have slippage, and we make hundreds of dollars on them. So slippage, yes, it's there. Yes, it affects you, but it is not, people get all bent out of shape over slippage, and it's absurd. It's time to forget the worry about slippage and trade the good trades. If you trade the bad trades where all you have is slippage, then of course you're going to have problems. But again, we try to help you locate those trades where the slippage is manageable. So that's how we deal with slippage. But tell me you didn't run into slippage if you're in the news and Trump says something, or if you're in the news and you don't know there's an oil report, you're going to get hit with slippage. So it's something you can't get rid of. We also have a trade called the trap trade. The trap trade is a reversal trade. It's a trade that we use on bank trades, bank statement trades, because our history of studying those trades has shown us that those trades go up and then they reverse, or they go down and then they reverse. And that's what our trap trade does. Like all the educators out there, we have a members area. There's videos. Our program is up there to download all sorts of information. You can download the HIRAs, etc. Okay, there's plenty of stuff you can do on our website. So it's just like every member's website, every educator's website. You can get plenty of good information, and it's, you know, it's what we give as a service for people that join our service. Everybody has a members area. With our service, you get our software. Software upgrades have always been free, and that's what I really want to get into now, because I said I'm only doing this for half an hour. I can show you trade after trade where we have made a ton of money. So let me, and our members have made a lot of money. $440 trading gold on durable goods. Okay, let me just show you a couple so you know I'm serious. A different member, a different trade, $270 trading gold. Okay, live accounts, not fake accounts, live accounts, or they wouldn't be crossed out. Core CPI, I showed you that one, $1,718. Real trades. Okay, so I don't want to have to go through all these trades today, show you every trade that we made. I'll show you one more video of this was ADP non-farm. This is a relatively small trade, but we still trade it because sometimes it moves. It's an 830 trade, had small targets on it. Let's see if it did anything. Some trades get canceled because they don't move. We give it 10 seconds. You could see this trade didn't do anything. This particular trade, we have safety up. We gave it 20 seconds, but we do have safety features built in. It filled, and you can see it just kind of hung around. And this trade was not live because you can tell it says sim. So if you're in a room and they never show you a live trade, you know, question them. Why do you never show a live trade? All right. But every trade, as I said before, is not $100 home run. Every trade is not a winner, but I can show you winner after winner. Australian trade balance, because our system is really good. But we've got something new, and I want to spend the last 10 minutes covering that because I think it's incredibly exciting and incredibly interesting. So we have a really good programmer, okay? And I noticed that the markets have a tendency, if you're a regular trader, you know that markets consolidate and they almost always break out of that consolidation either to the upside or to the downside. And I thought to myself, well, why don't I have the programmer add something? We had something called a range trade. The range trade, very simply, if you've ever traded oil or if you've ever traded gold at 8:20 in the morning, you could set up a simple 5-minute range. Let me bring up a chart. It'll help you to visualize it a little bit better. This chart has a range. So it'll create this range, okay? And then you can set up your orders right above the range or right below the range. So I noticed that markets were consolidating all the time, and then breaking out of the range. So I asked our programmer how we could deal with that. We had a program, we had a feature in our software that let you set up a simple range over any time period in minutes that you wanted. And you could say, enter the trade 3 ticks above the range, the high of the range, or 3 ticks below the low of the range. So in other words, that's the concept. High of the range, enter, low of the range. If it gets broken, enter. And the problem with that feature was that it was requiring a lot of testing. How do you know that the 9 o'clock oil 5-minute range trade is still working if you don't test it every day? It became so time consuming that we realized our range trade had a flaw. And it had a flaw that was taking too much testing to determine if the trades would work. So it was very hard to bring those trades into our trade room because we didn't want to bring in trades we didn't test, and they required so much testing, we didn't bring in any trades. It was just like it just wasn't working for us. So we had the programmer change the system. And here's what we did. It's fascinating. I think it's fascinating because it was semi-accidental in one of the features that made the whole thing fantastic. Let me just turn the sound off and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So today, I realized that the Beige Book, which I've always thought there was a trade in the Beige Book somewhere, but I've never found it. So over the past month, we came out with this. We had our programmer change our range trade into what we call a what we originally called a consolidation trade. And what it does is it puts the trade on the screen. It's always on the screen. The range stays on the screen, moves with the current price, and all you have to do to enter any trade is click the one-click range trade entry button. Bingo, you're in the trade. The second the trade is over, all you have to do to repeat the whole process again is click the enable button, and you can do it over and over and over. If you're a scalper, think about those possibilities. If you scalp gold and you see a setup that you like, you can use our software to automate your entry, to control your stops, move your stops, trail your stops, hit your targets, totally control the whole trade, other than possibly you might have some manual entries. Even that can be controlled automatically also. But today, to make a long story short, I thought to myself, there is a trade in this Beige Book. I know there is. We trade the N. One of the instruments that we're doing this trade on is the NQ with a 210 tick chart. Here's the other beautiful thing about this trade now. Excuse me. Our old range trade limited you to minutes. Now you can trade Renko, seconds, bars, anything that the software supports, any time frame you want, range trades, minutes, seconds, Renko bars, specialized Renko bars, 15 minutes. It just changed everything. Ticks. It absolutely changed everything because you don't have to trade news. We realized we have a trade that, wait a minute, guys, we're in trouble here. We're a news trading company, and we have a trade that's amazing when it's not a news trade. What are we going to do? So, what we decided to do is just keep it as a free upgrade for our members and teach them how to use it. Try to come up with setups. And our members have been coming up with setups over and over and over. One of our members, Patrick, made 270 the other day live trading his setup. And he has a specific setup for the one click range trade. He made 270. That was one day. Then on a Thursday, he made over $600. That was March 1st, I believe it was. So the point is, he's designing his own trades using this feature. Today, I said to myself, man, this beige book is driving me crazy for years. I've watched it, never got a trade out of it. I'm going to try the one click range trade on it. So I set up a strategy. This is what our software looks like. Our software lets you choose the type of trade. It could be a breakout trade, or it could be a one click range trade. You can use three positions. You could have three targets. You can reverse if stopped out if you want to. Put your stop in, of course. And then if your first target is hit, you can move your stop. If your second target is hit, you can move your stop again. And you can trail your stops if you want to do that. Okay. So I decided that the beige book had a trade. I set it up. It's a 2 o'clock trade. So I set it up with a target of 6, a target of 15, and then I trailed my stop. I figured I would give it 2 minutes because it's a report, and if nothing happened, I'd cancel it after 2 minutes. Normally, our trades take place in seconds, but a report has to get read, although they are often released early. People know what's in them a lot of the time. But with a report, I'll usually give it 2 minutes. So I was hanging out, just waiting on the beige book to get released. I'll speed it up so you could just watch the trade. 1 second before the trade is the timing that I decided to use for the beige book. So we're now 4 seconds away. I'm going to click that button. And now my orders are on the trade, on the chart. And now you just sit, and if I get filled in 2 minutes, I'll have a trade, an active trade going. If the beige book is a nothingness, like we thought, then nothing will happen and I won't get filled. And sure as we're sitting here, I think it was right about 20 seconds into the trade, the NQ started to come to life. It went down, it hit two of my targets, hit my third target, and bingo. Then it backed up, hit my trail, but in 40 seconds, I was out of the trade with $150. So now what that tells me is that the beige book may be a trade. So for us, what we do is we then go back and trade a couple of months of trades, or 6 months possibly, to make sure it's safe for our members. We're not just going to jump into the trade room and tell everybody, hey, the beige book is great. So that's how we deal with that stuff. We test, we test, we test, and we make it so it's safe for our members so they don't get stopped out whenever possible. We want you to make money, but the beige book looks promising. We just needed a way to find a way to trade it. And I believe that I discovered that today. So testing will tell us that. Okay. And that's our one click range trade. You can use it to scalp. You can use it. Let me see if I can show you one other quick trade on that I believe I have here. Let me find it. Give me half a second. If I can't find it quick, then I won't torture you. But I think I do have it. Yep, I have it here. I believe that the NASDAQ at 1030 has a trade. I was taught this by one of the rooms I used to hang around in. And this particular trade, sometimes it happens a little bit earlier. And right about now, you could see I was in the trade already. Let me show you right before. It was 1032. I put myself into the trade. I saw that the price, we'd gotten our signals. I'm not going to go over all our signals now because we don't have time to teach you how to do the trade here. Trust me, because you can see the trade got filled. The trade went in my direction according to my setup, as you saw before. And when I was done, literally, what was it, about 20 seconds, I had, even though it was sim, I'm being truthful here because we're testing this feature still, but it was over $200 in sim. It's also a low slippage trade because it's not a news-based trade all the time. Or if it's a news-based trade, it may be a great trade for small news. Okay. The big news, we have our breakout trade. And you've seen that a million times in these webinars. Our breakout trades are the trades that explode in a second. I'll show you one of those and then I'll get to our offer. It's 8:30. I said I was only going to take a half an hour. That's all I want to spend. Um, Let me just find that one great trade to show you. Let's show you, how about CPI? I think this was a pretty good one. I just want to make sure my audio is off. CPI is an 8:30 trade. It's going to be 5 seconds away from now. I have no idea. I don't remember what this trade made. I don't know. I believe it's profitable because it was in my profit folder. Let's see what it does. 5 seconds, the trade's gonna, there's our orders showing up on the chart automatically. That's what our software does, CPI. It popped up, hit my first target, hit my second target, $281, 6 seconds. Okay. That's a breakout trade. That's a perfect breakout trade. If they were all perfect, that would be wonderful, right? But that's what a perfect breakout trade looks like. One more time, orders get placed, orders get filled, trades over in a couple of seconds. We do that many times a month. It's not like we do it once every now and then. We do it many times a month. Okay. So we want you to be a member. You get our one-click range trade. It normally costs $14.97 for a year to join our service. One of our members made $4,500 trading 10 contracts on the oil report. We're offering 1 year for $497. If you have more questions and you want more info, because this is not a long webinar tonight, I'll give you my personal email, procol33@gmail.com. Otherwise, if you think that this is for you, for $497, it expires at midnight. Our coupon code is GOLD. Just go to www.newjob.info. Sign up. We would love to have you as a member. We respect our members incredibly. We truly treat our members like they are part of our family. Anybody that's in this room, and I see so many of my members in this room because I don't know why they come to my webinars, but they do. But they also like the guys at Rightline, who we work with and have been working with for a couple of years now. We have a great relationship with them. I would love if you learn how to use the one-click range trade with us. Come and join us for just $497 at newjob.info, coupon code GOLD. We would absolutely love for you to be a member. This expires Sunday night. One more time, $497, support@joebrackettbreakout.net, or you could email me personally, PROCOL33, like the band Procol Harum, PROCOL33@gmail.com. I would love to answer your emails if you have any questions. And we love what we do. You can tell I love what I do by how excited I am. I'm not faking any of this. I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this for love of news trading. I'm a news trading junkie. I'm an addict and I love doing it. And I love teaching people how to do it and how to try to make money at it. It's a very exciting, fun thing. And now with this new one-click range trade, I think it's the greatest thing we've come out with. It's really a fantastic tool. We want to teach you how to do it. So newjob.jobb.info, coupon code GOLD, $497 a year, expires Sunday at midnight. I want to thank the guys at Rightline for having me. I'm going to send this webinar over to them. Thanks, Mark and Rory. Mark, the ball's in your court now. This is Lee Goldstein from thenewstraders.com. I thank you all so much for letting me come into your house tonight. And take care, everybody, and have a great rest of the evening. Mark, it's all yours.
Thank you, Lee. I'm just going to get my charts up. Hang on one second here. And I want to thank Lee for the presentation. That Procol Harum band, that was around way before I was born, Lee.
I know.
You got it. Yeah, you got to update that thing. I was like, I think I'm still in the womb.
You know, they're still around, believe it or not, still together. The singer,
no
just the singer, not the the rest of the guys. No one lasts.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised. And listen, we love working with Lee and Joe, because I mean, Lee's just a really honest guy. Joe, it's great software, and that's why we partner with them a lot. Just very unusual people, because they are so transparent and really so honest. And everything he says, you can bank on, because he's a really good guy. So thanks so much for giving me your evening. I gave my son dinner, and it's all quiet, and we're back here in the office just to provide you with some, I think, really good information. I just want to preface this by telling you that the webinar and the information is for educational purposes only, and we're not certified money managers, and we recommend that you consult a certified money manager before making any trades, and never risk more than 2% of your account on any given trade. Now, with that said, what I want to introduce to you is our money flow indicator. Now, we call it our quant analysis indicator, which is kind of a sophisticated name for what it does, which is really track the direction of money flow. Now, this is not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of software packages out there that tell you that they can do it accurately, but it is a difficult metric to assess, because there's no direct way of doing it. Order flow analysis does not track money flow. It simply tells you whether there's a buy-sell imbalance. And although we have that indicator, that is not what we're going to highlight here tonight. And I want to show you how we do it, and we do it in an extremely effective way. And I find it an essential tool for my trading. When I trade the E-mini and I trade crude every morning, I start at about 25 after 9. Sometimes I'm a minute late, and I started at 9:31 Eastern. But every morning I'm in there in the room, and we're taking trades, and we're taking them live. And I really would feel lost without this indicator to help guide me. And essentially, here's what we've done. We know that when certain markets fall, other markets rise. And so certain markets are directly correlated with others, and other markets are inversely correlated with these markets. Now, what goes on in the course of a day is that the big funds, the big institutional money, is oftentimes rotated from asset class to asset class. Now, there's a software package out there that talks about neural nets, and to the extent that they're correct, this is really true. I mean, when the big money believes that risk is on and it's worthwhile trading stocks, they're going to move their money into the NASDAQ, the E-mini, the Dow, and the Russell. And when they take risk off, when they believe it's too risky to be in stocks, they rotate their money into more conservative investment vehicles like treasury bonds, treasury notes, precious metals, certain currencies, and even certain agriculturals. So if you look at each day when you start as really being all about a fixed amount of money in the market. Now we know that there's money inflow and money outflow, and to some extent and actually to a large extent over the course of time, we have traders going to cash and just simply totally avoiding risk. But in the course of any given day or any given 2 or 3 days, the amount of money that's present in these markets is pretty much fixed. So the reason that crude might go up is simply because the big money has made the assessment that they're going to move their money into crude, and they're going to pull it out of certain other asset classes that inversely correlate with the direction of crude. And the same thing with the E-mini, the NASDAQ, the Russell, and the Dow. Out of those markets into treasury bonds, treasury notes, and other inversely correlated markets. It took us a very, very long time to find these correlative markets. Now, in order for them to make our analysis, they must correlate with what's called a correlation coefficient of 0.7 or greater, i.e., if a market like treasury notes, for instance, doesn't move up 70% of the time when the E-mini moves down, then it doesn't make it into our analysis. So what we're really doing is we're tracking the rotational movement of money from different asset classes. And you're going to see that this is the metric that really moves the market. Now, we've already done the analysis to determine that oscillators cannot tell you when the market's overbought or oversold. They just don't work. That MACD divergence and stochastic divergence are going to get you run over very often. The reason is the market is going to make a top when the big money decides it's going to make a top. As long as the institutional traders are pushing price up, it's going to run through pivots, it's going to run through your value area high, it's going to run through everything. And the top of the market is not going to be determined by a fib or by Elliott wave. It's the bottom line. When you get down to brass tacks, it's going to be determined by where the mutual fund and the institutional money decide it's going to pull out and stop pushing that investment instrument up. This is what we track. I'm going to give you some examples, and then we're just going to trade right off the charts. This is not really a long webinar. Now, what I wanted to show you now, the number of lines for this indicator depends on your market, because some markets have 9 correlative markets, some have 6, and some have 3, and there's 3 per line. Now, if you want to trade bonds, the only time you should trade it long is when money is flowing into bonds. Now, what's important about this assessment is to note that these lines are not looking at bonds or the movement or price of bonds in any way. This is what makes this indicator forward-looking. It's not a retrospective analysis. It doesn't tell you where bonds has been because it doesn't look at bonds. And it, in and of itself, doesn't tell you where bonds is going because it doesn't look at bonds. But it, in a sense, it does tell you where bonds is going. I guess the point I'm trying to make is these lines aren't green because bonds are rising. Bonds are rising because these lines are green. And what this is telling you is that risk is off. The big money doesn't want to put their money to work in stocks or any risky assets. They want to put their money to work in bonds and likely treasury notes. And when these lines are green, price on bonds is almost always going to rise. Just like here, it's almost always going to rise. Now, even with one line yellow, 3 of the 6 correlative markets not giving you a strong money flow direction, bonds goes into total chop, and if you try to trade it off of any other indicator analysis, it's likely going to stop you out. And when both lines are yellow, you just have to stand aside because there's no direct direction for the correlative markets, and there's no institutional money being put to work in bonds. And when there's no institutional money being put to work in any financial instrument, it is going to chop. I don't want to get into a long discussion about that. Without the flow of institutional money, every single financial instrument chops. It's only that big money that creates these kind of trends. So you have to stand down. Remember that day trading and swing trading is all about minimizing risk. And if you ask most day traders what the number one goal of day trading is, they'll tell you it's to get winners. But if you ask our day traders and swing traders what the number one goal is, they'll tell you it's to avoid losers. Because if you can step aside on the risky entries that you take when the market is chopping, you will make a lot of money. So our number one goal is risk management, to preserve our capital and only take a trade when everything that we know to be present to provide us with a direction and an entry is there. Now, here's 9 markets on the E-mini. And you can see once the institutional money comes into the market, you've got a direction. This is not an entry indicator. It's simply a directional indicator. And believe me that the setting a direction for the market is part of the battle. You'd be surprised how difficult it is to spot a trend, because that's why so many day traders get stopped out a lot. They get run over. This is going to prevent you from getting stopped out and run over. You can see all the traders in these counter trend candles. They're all in the red candles trying to counter trend trade the market. And they're doing it on the basis of oscillator divergence, MACD divergence. They're hitting upside resistance with a fib. Something is telling them to bail. That market's going to turn. Only thing that's going to turn this market is when the big institutional money steps aside. Now, these are slides I just made recently, and I'm going to skip that one. Now, here's gold. Now, gold only has 3 correlative markets. And I'm going to show you these on a live chart. And you can see when the quant line is green, gold is almost always going to rise in price. It sets a direction. And you can see that you have a lot of traders trading the counter trend direction, calling tops here. I put the arrow here because this is where price came back to support. And with the quant line telling you that money flow is positive, you can take this long trade off support with a very high probability of price continuing to rise. Right here, when the quant goes yellow, money flow stops. I put this black line here. And this is where if you were in the market, you would step aside. If you were not in the market, it was where you would stop trading. Now, this is crude. And this is just a very volatile market. And you can see when money flow is positive, any pullback to support gives you a great long entry. Then the quant goes yellow, and this price action is very difficult to trade. You can try it, but you have a lot of risk. Now, when money flow is negative and you've got money flowing out of crude, any pullback to resistance is eminently shortable to create a very low risk entry. Here's the E-mini. The E-mini has 3 quant lines. This is the major quant line, the most important. Here's the intermediate quant line, the second most important. When I take a trade, I almost always want these 2, either green or red. And the minor quant is important, but if you have lines 1 and 2, you've got yourself a decent trade. If you have all 3, you have a stellar trade. But you can see the direction it sets. And I could have put arrows in, but here's a pullback to support and a continuation, another pullback to support and a continuation. As long as these lines stay green, your direction is set. Don't try to counter trend trade. Try to look for a pullback to support and take that trade long. Now, this works on any time frame, and we have about 25 markets that we have quants on. We don't have quants on every market. We have a huge library of them, and every market requires its own analysis. Here's an example, another one on the E-mini. This is a great trade. Pull back to support and up. This is a very, very low risk trade. And if you're missing an indicator from your trading methodology, this will really, really increase the precision of your trading. I'm going to show you on a live chart. This is Apple Computer. We have quant lines for stocks. And actually what we did was we do a quant analysis for the NASDAQ, for the Dow, for the Russell, and for the E-mini S&P. So you just have to decide which market you think has the most influence on your stock. I mean, Apple Computer, some of them trade on multiple exchanges. I think Microsoft is on the Dow, and obviously it's also on the NASDAQ. But you would really use the NASDAQ quant, and it really gives you a great direction on stocks. I want to add with stocks, what you hear a lot is you hear the gimmicky trading, and that's, trade the gaps, trade, the small biotech breakouts. You don't hear about simply day trading the trend on stocks. The reason is almost nobody can do it, but we do it very successfully. And this really helps us determine whether money is flowing into the NASDAQ or out of the NASDAQ. Well, before I do that, I get to the special offer, I want to show you. Now, here's a live chart. Let me open it up all the way. Now, this is how much we made in the live trading room today. We made $620. And I don't want to go, I want to go to actually the market during trading. And here's the afternoon. And you can see right here, and this is exactly the analysis we get on a live market on the E-mini. And you can see right here, this pullback to support. And really, anybody can show you a JPEG of anything. What I like about Lee is he shows you trades that evolve in real time. Even though they're video, they're real. I mean, what we're showing you is an actual analysis that appears on the chart while you're trading it. And 1249 is a great long trade in the direction of all the quant lines. You're in here, and you can take the trade up to here for 6 3/4 points. Now, we use this line. This is called our modified 15, and we need it to be green in order to take a long trade. And a long is a pullback to support and continuation, and a short is a pullback to resistance and a continuation. And right here, now you don't have the major quant. You have the minor and the intermediate. So you could stand aside or you may not, but there's the trade. Always in the direction of money flow. Now, I'm not going to show you an entry that doesn't work. See, money flow here is a little choppy. I mean, the market's falling. We don't get a great entry signal here. And you don't have to push it. You wait for everything to align. See, and here's your great entry right here. You don't have the intermediate, but you have the major and you have the minor. And here's your stellar trade. This is early in the morning, but here's your long trade. Pull back to support, all 3 lines green. And you got an enormous move. Now, I'll put up a whole bunch of different markets. Let me put up crude. It's going to take a minute to load. Now, the thing I have to do is I have to change crude to an 8 range. And I'm going to stop pretty soon because I want to have enough time for questions. And also, I have to change the quant line. And you see, I have the RL quant for the E-mini. I have to remove it. And I have to put, here are the quants we have. Natural gas, heating oil. We have the Nifty. Somebody asked us to make it on. We have silver. So we want to get the quant for crude oil, which is right here. I'll bring it down. And I'm just going to change the size to 20 to make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to project. And we'll just hit it. Now here's money flow for crude. And look at that trade. Throughout this entire move, big money is being pulled out of crude. And your entry is right here. It's a pullback to resistance in the direction of money flow. And you're going to have a very liberal trade management strategy to get this whole move down. But as long as money is flowing out of this instrument, this price is going to drop. And remember, the color of this indicator has absolutely no correlation to direct correlation. In other words, the color of this indicator is not analyzing the price of crude. It doesn't care what's happening with crude. It's looking at 3 other markets to tell you that crude is going to fall. And we'll just look at the really good trades. And here's a really nice one right here. A pullback and continuation. We always take pullbacks and continuations. We never chase a move. Here's another one. And let me go to another market. And I'll go to a couple of stocks, and then I'll show you our offer. Look at the QQQ. I have to change the quant again. Now here's the QQQ. And let me move the NASDAQ quant in and take out crude. And here is the NASDAQ. Let me just make that 20. And here's our QQQ. You can see the RL quant analysis is NASDAQ. Let's move around. We can leave it just like this. Now, if you're day trading stocks and you can trade 1,000 shares of the QQQ, you can make incredibly nice money. I mean, here's a perfect short trade on the Q, right here. Now, this entry doesn't come with the quant, so it's a little riskier. And we don't want to take any risk on a trade. And look at this chop. This is crazy. There's a long entry right here. Now remember, we're actually really day trading stocks. We're not again, we're not doing small tech, biotech breakouts in the morning. We're not trading gaps. We're actually trend trading stocks. And here's your nice long trade. Either one of these candles. Actually, either this one too. Any one of these would have got you that sweep up. Always in the direction of money flow. And here's the market's really choppy. Got nothing here. And I could go on and on. I mean, this is really a critical analysis, I believe, in trading. Now let me see if there are any questions. I mean, I could go through multiple instruments. I'll just show you really quickly. I'll show you Apple Computer, and we'll stop there because I have Apple here. Now this is after market close, and we only want to look at Apple during the market, and looking for it now. Apple's very choppy today. Yesterday, this afternoon, very choppy. I mean, that's an entry, but it's a small entry. Here's another entry, but it's a small entry. That's not that small. Now, one other key to the trade is that this line must be red for a short, and this line must be green for a long. You have to respect market structure. You just can't take a trade out of the blue. And see, that's a great trade, but if you look at money flow, it just hasn't kicked in yet. So we don't chase anything. If it doesn't align, we just don't chase it. So nothing really good on Apple today. Apple was very choppy today, and today was a really choppy day. Now here's a nice, very nice short right here. And the risk to reward on stocks is 4 to 5 to 1. I mean, for every penny that you risk, you look to make 4 or 5 cents. It's amazing risk to reward here. So it's very hard to lose money if you trade in the direction of institutional money along the slope of the 15. It's a 15 period on a pullback and short, or pull up and short, or a pullback and long, in the direction of the flow of the big money. And when the money isn't flowing like this, the market chops. And the market is not going to regain a trend until this line turns. Then you get an absolute directional bias. The only question is whether you can get an entry. And you want to take a long entry on a pullback to support and continuation. You just don't want to go in and chase Apple up. So that's the indicator. And let me show you quickly our I mean here that's a full chart, but let me show you our offer. And I have to go through a lot of slides to get to it. I'm sorry about that. And then I'll see if there are any questions. Here we go. So I wrote it wrong. I'm sorry. Hang on a second here. It's 4 markets. So it's 4 markets for $399, and normally that's a lot. It's $9.99 for those 4 markets, and you can specify any 4 markets that you want. Whatever you like, you can trade. If you want to trade gold, you want to trade the 6E, you want to trade silver, and the Russell. When you make the purchase, you just tell us what 4 markets you want. And then for each additional market, it's $129. And that's usually $149. And if you're one of the first 10, you get a month in the trading room for free. And you also get a 10-module educational series. So the educational series is awesome for trading, whether you swing or day trade. If you really want to learn a really safe trading methodology, this is the way to go. So you get 4 different markets for $399. And let me see if there are any questions. Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me just. Okay. Yeah, Al, you're going to get a recording. Raj, I did show all 3 quants. Remember, only certain markets have 3 quants. And in the room, Rick, I trade crude and the E-mini every day. Today, the E-mini was a cash cow for us. And in all seriousness, the quant lines allowed us to sidestep an enormous amount of chop. I mean, if you traded the E-mini this morning between 9:30 and 11:30, you saw how incredibly difficult it was and how easy it was to get stopped out. There were multiple market reversals. Every trade I took was with all 3 quant lines, either green, 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 or red, red, red. I had 2 trades on the E-mini. Actually, I had 1 loser. I'm not going to lie to you. And 1 winner went 4.25 points, and the other went 4.5 points. I had 8 points, and then I had a 28-tick winner on crude oil. So I had 3 trades and 1 loser, and we wound up, you saw with the number, 600 and some odd dollars in the room. And I'll tell you, the trade I took was a perfect trade, and not every perfect trade go. We finished with $620. So it was just one of it was one of those days. We had the quants aligned, and if I told you that every time everything sets up, you got a winner, I'm not telling you the truth. But 80+% of the time, you're going to go get a winner. And the thing is, if you assess risk on the trade, you can look for the trades that are going to run. All 3 of the winners I took were huge winners. So I wound up losing about $300 and making $940 on 4 trades. I could have kept trading, and there were other good trades, but our profit target in the room was between $400 and $500. We were at 640, so we just stopped. So that's just, you can trade on if you want on your own, but with that kind of chop this morning and to get those huge winners, we just stood down. Yes, Saxman. I put the quant indicator right over the 3-line indicator. So I wait for them both to align. So what I'm just doing is I'm adding specificity to the trade. It's exactly what I do. I align them up, and I wait for them to both be in my direction. Raj, the number of quant lines, again, depends on the number of correlative markets. The index equities have 9. The E-mini, the Russell, the Dow, and the NASDAQ. Bonds and notes have 6, so there's 2 lines. Gold, silver, crude, they only have 3, so there's only 1 line. So you're going to have to create a template or a chart and put the appropriate quant line in. The index equities, the stocks themselves also only have 1 line. I'm pretty sure it's bloodhound compatible, Wave. Yes, for this price, you own them for life. And if there's ever an upgrade or an add-on to that analysis, we always give it to you for free. So if in other words, we always recheck the correlative markets every now and then, and we check them every 90 days. One market will fall out and another market will come in. And so we have to tweak the quant lines. When we do that, we will notify you and send you the updated package. If we ever add on to that, we find more correlatives. So it's a lifetime license, and you always get any upgrades or add-ons. Link for purchase, Rory? It's in the chat room. If you can see it, it's right there. So that's really it. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I can promise you this is going to help your trading, and I'll just show you really quickly. Well, I don't want to make it more complicated. It's going to show you an absolute direction. Plus, you're going to be in the room with me for a month, and I'm going to get you some really nice winners. We make money in the room almost every day. Not every day, but yesterday we made just under 600. Today we made 600. We're looking to make 600 tomorrow, 600 on Friday. And the quant is the key component of a directional trade. And if I don't have the quant with me, I do not trade. So, and you also get our video tutorial library. It says 10 here. Well, that's our trading, but you also get our video tutorial library with 450 videos, which are not accessible to anybody else, that go over all of our trading methodology, all of our tools, and will really give you, I think, a good idea how to day trade. And you're going to find out that a lot of the stuff that you use doesn't work. But the bottom line is assessing the direction of the big money is real key. So listen, everyone, have a really, really great evening. I wish everyone, the offer ends on 3/9, which I think is on Friday night. And I wish you all the best of luck. You know, we're just a small guy. We want to make money. And in order to do that, we must trade with the big institutional guys. If we try to counter trade against them, we're going to lose. What we need to do is to take money from the other small trader, the other small commercial trader, who's trading an analysis that doesn't work and software that doesn't project an appropriate assessment of the market. And we do it almost every day. I mean, there's no reason why we can't take their money. Why should we let them have ours? So have a really great evening. Any questions, we'll be here in the office another half hour or so. And we'll be sending out a replay of this, a video, and it'll have both Lee's presentation on it and mine. So everyone have a really, really great night. And I wish you all. Thank you so much, Wes. Welcome to our family. I'll see you in the room. Sergio is our guru, and he'll configure everything for you in the morning. I mean, he'll go on your computer, make sure everything's working good. There's a little video that's going to come with the package. It's going to show you how to send us your NinjaTrader ID serial number. And when you send that, send us the 4 markets that you want to trade, and we'll configure that package for you, and we'll get it to you tomorrow afternoon. Have a great afternoon, great evening, and we'll see everyone. Hopefully, I'll see you in the room tomorrow. Best of luck either way. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.